Evening all, Daniel Hand, RPG Therapist, coming at you with another Geek Dive where I grab an RPG off my shelf, have a quick flip through it, and offer my thoughts on how one might use it with clients. This time we're going to explore the giant, rook-haunted halls of the Colossal, a solo RPG adventure. Written, illustrated and published by Nick Angel, Colossal won the 2022 Any Award for Best Rules, making it basically an Oscar winner for the RPG world. Cards on the table, as always. I'm a huge fan of Colossal. I own every expansion, every piece of merchandise. I'm a member of Nick's Patreon. In fact, my name appears in the back of his latest book, Kiodina. And my character, Aggie, or Lightning Moon as people know her, has been running around keeping people safe for well over a year now. She's basically just a Power Ranger and I love her so much. So odds are I'm going to be largely positive about the game itself. But will I be able to recommend it for your client work? Let's take a look and see. So then, here we are, Colossal, a solo RPG adventure, all by Nick Angel. I always say, always judge a book by its cover, and just take a look at that cover there. If you like the look of this cover, you will like Colossal, because that picture there is Colossal. Giant room, completely obviously giant relics of the past, but some mystery about, why is it there? What happened to it? Lots of adventures to be had in the mountains and the forests. A small adventure with a steampunky fantasy kind of setup and a walking castle. That art there is Colossal. So if you're intrigued by that cover, just get the book. You're going to be fine. It's a very thin book, coming in at 65 pages, of which I think something like only 33 are actually text that you've got to read from top to bottom. So very easy on the eyes. So if you've got a client who's struggling with dyslexia, or for that matter, dyscalculia, because it's card-based rather than dice-based, Colossal's a really good shot for them as well. And let's have a look. So beautiful end papers. I love these illustrations. All of the art in here is done by Nick. These illustrations are actually on a deck of cards that Nick produced for play. So if you want to get yourself a custom set of Colossal cards, get yourself that deck. Very brief table of contents there. And same adventurer. Anything that has a sword that size gets my vote, frankly. And we go straight into what is a solo RPG, how this kind of game is different from your regular TTRPG, basic rules. You've got your two game phases, exploration and combat, both of which are determined by your character sheets and card draws. There's a picture again. A very brief introduction into the world of Colossal. Again, giant rooms, continent size, land masses, etc., with terrifying walking castles around just to cause trouble and give you loot. How to create your character. A simple setup. If I can find it, here we go. So you've got a few character classes here. You've got the Armed, which is an individual who has, as you can see, another arm attached to their back. You've got the Followed, who has a mini Rook, they're called. A walking castle accompanies them. You've got the Helmed, who's taken a part of the Rook and created a magical helmet. And the Mounted, who has a vehicle made out of Rook parts. The Rooks play very heavily into the world of Colossal. They are mysterious, all ever present, and just generally cool. So basically, you get the idea of the theme you want to play for your character. Do you want them to have a big arm to carry an extra sword? Do you want them to have a minion to go around looking for things? And once you've decided your overall theme, you fill in your character sheet using these here. You've got your exploration score and your combat score. These are going to be the deciding factors of how many cards you draw at a given stage in the game and how you can use said cards. Simple as that, really. Character traits, giving you some background ideas. Once you've created your character class, you choose a calling, again by drawing a card, and you've got things like you have visions in your sleep, or you see a giant rook flying overhead. And again, drawing your card, give yourself a character nature. Are you happy? Are you impatient? Etc. etc. All very straightforward. Choose your class, draw a couple of cards, job done. Magic is all powered by rook stones, which are magical items found within rooks. So yes, that means you're going to have to fight rooks and climb inside them. More art again, and I just love just all of these shots that give you an idea of the scale of the Colossal. They're just perfect. I mean, look at that one. You've climbed up there, up to a window, and you're just having a look inside. You can see all the way across. Beautiful stuff. So for the exploration phase, remember we said earlier how everything's defined by these scores. You draw that number of cards, and you compare them to these two tables. And then you read what happens on these tables and decide what your character does as a result. So if you have a score of 3 exploration, you draw 3 cards, 5, etc. And if we just pick this one here because it's the shortest one to read. So let's say you draw a 3 of hearts. So calling, you come across someone who is key to your calling. Maybe they have a clue about what you're looking for, or they block your way to learn more. And because it's a heart, they're a friendly person, so they're likely to help you. But if it had been a diamond, they would have been not friendly. And that's it, really. You've created your character, you've created this prompt, and now you decide what happens next. How does this card draw affect your character, and what is your character going to do? Same applies with your black cards. But you just draw it, you find it on the appropriate table, compare to the suit, follow the instructions. Job done. Gives you ideas for items that you can find and events that happen. Obviously, there are oceans in the middle of the Colossal as well. Special rules for ocean encounters and weather. Again, all decided by cards. Rules for creating cities in Colossal. Again, choose your cards. You draw on this table and or choose King, Queen, Jack and 10. And depending on what you draw, you've got those districts in your new city. More rules. Some cool special items you can buy. Again, the art. Battlements encounters. So eventually the idea being that you will reach it to the outdoors and see what's out there. There are some special rules following, so I'm not actually going to spoil those. And here we go, you've got the rules for fighting. You've got different sized opponents, you've got another person, you've got a medium rook, and you've got a massive rook. That defines how strong they are. And you can see how they're going to attack you. Again, you draw cards according to your combat value, and depending on what you draw, that's how well or poorly you do in the fight. You inflict wounds, you take wounds, you can run away, you can defeat the rook. Just lots of different things. Again, you just decide what happens according to the cards drawn. Cool look on the inside of the rook there, and see what I mean? That is about it. You've got your character sheet, an example of a journal entry, and that is the entirety of the book. There are 2 other Colossal expansions. You've got the Roomlands and the latest one, Geek-dive. I won't bother with Geek-dive too much because that's very new and I haven't actually read through it yet. But the Roomlands is very helpful, because it's got more rules for different types of rooms. You've got the Tunge room, it's got different character classes, and rooms filled with snow, and you've got the rafters, which is all jungle. Two very important things about the Roomlands, though, is that it's got a campaign, a pre-written campaign that you can play through. That's the Search for the Sea Stone. But perhaps even more importantly for our needs as RPG therapists, it has specific rules for how to turn Colostle from a single-player game into a two-player game. And again, the rules very simple, 3 pages with a few examples, plus the tables to draw your cards from, extra combat rules, and then you get straight into the campaign. So that is, for our purposes, gold dust, and makes the Roomlands worth it just for that alone. And yeah, between them, I have got nothing but great stuff to say about the Roomlands and Geek-dive, which is, again, as I say, it's Far Eastern themed and just the same wonderful art, just a slightly different aesthetic, and more rules, more tables to draw on. And if you've started your adventure and you just want to take it to different places, Geek-dive, thumbs up from me. And there we have it. So then, using Colostle as part of your RPG therapy provision? Absolutely. I've actually recommended this game time and again to clients who found themselves bored out of their minds in their day-to-day lives and who really just need to start developing some self-care practices. And every one of those clients who's tried it has come back to me saying that they've had a lot of fun. As I say, it's dead simple, it does all the creative hard work for you, so the player just has to react to what the cards say, and it gives you just enough to get the imagination working without sitting you down and demanding that you write out a novel. The artwork is just cute, and there's something about the Colossal's simplicity as a concept, an entire world inside a building, that speaks to that inner child who used to jump on the furniture pretending the floor was lava. It can keep the mind occupied, it gives players something to look forward to whilst they're doing other tasks, and generally it does everything the fictional frame does within the therapeutic environment, but at home. And if the client feels able to bring some of their adventures to a session and talk about them, that allows for that same exploration of the fictional frame that we've spoken about previously on this channel, talking about issues from the character's perspective, hypothesizing how the client might feel in similar circumstances, etc. Would I actually play Colossal in a session with a client, though? Not entirely sure. I say this for the simple reason that, as a game, Colostle presents more as a story-telling game rather than as a story-creating or story-experiencing game. It prompts you with events that the character faces rather than allowing either you or the client to fully own those experiences. Which means, rules as written, you wouldn't have quite as much control over the obstacle creating process as an RPG therapist might want. Not an insurmountable issue, of course. The rules are vague enough for you to be able to adapt any result to your needs, but for some of us it might feel a bit stifling. For example, you draw a card that means the character travels to a new area. Great, but what does that mean? What's there, and why did the character decide to go there? And more importantly, how is it relevant to the client's therapeutic needs? Sure, you can put your heads together and come up with something, but then it becomes a subtly different kind of exercise, which, don't get me wrong, is totally valid, but it requires more in the way of in-the-moment world building, which might detract from the character work, which tends to be RPG therapy's bread and butter. If we were to compare this mechanic to most other exploration come travel mechanics, for example, other games tend to tell you where the character is, where they're going, and at least broadly what they'll find when they get there. Which means both you and the client can plan ahead for how you might insert the therapy into the fiction. Whereas Colossal gives you both perhaps a little too much and a little too little to work with, meaning you have to devise the location within specific parameters as set by the game, and only then look at how the character would react. Which is perfect for a leisurely journaling game, less so for a short therapy session. The big exception to this, I'd say, would be if you're a person-centered therapist and you're looking for the client to take the lead in the entire process. In that case, yes, I think Colossal could be a perfect fit for your needs. It will help nudge the client through an adventure, giving them ownership of the narrative, while at the same time inviting you to participate in the story. And this can help less creatively minded clients lead the exercise without feeling overwhelmed by it. Bear in mind, though, if you do want to play Colossal with your clients, you'll need to make sure you grab a copy of the Roomlands as well as the core book. By and large, though, I tend to recommend Colossal more as a self-care exercise for clients to do between sessions, rather than as a game to use specifically as part of a client's therapy. Sure, you could use it in sessions, but there are other more straightforward systems you could use. But as a creative exercise for clients to do on their own, I really can't recommend Colossal highly enough. But what do you think? How would you go about using Colossal with your clients? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've got Colossal or played it yourself, please do share some of your favourite adventures. While you're down there, please do like, share, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And click the link to subscribe to my newsletter, where you'll get a free adventure pack to go with your copy of role-playing games in psychotherapy. Everyone, as usual, thank you so much for watching this video. I really look forward to speaking with you again next week. So until then, take it easy, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and have a good one. Cheers.